So to begin, I wanted to ask you about how you got your start in music.
I have been writing and actually recording since I was 8 years old. I kind of learned how to play music by writing it, and I had a really amazing mentor named Liza Oxnard growing up who would let me use her studio at home and let me record my songs and just like really nurtured that songwriting part of me and allowed me to explore and really supported me in that way. So that's where I got my start. And my sister also is in music, and she was actually the one who begged my parents to take guitar lessons, and they got her a guitar, and I think she took lessons for like 2 weeks. And the guitar just kind of sat in the house collecting dust until I decided to pick it up and started writing. So that was kind of the emergence of music for me.
And so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Intertwined. So that's the first single off your upcoming EP. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about what inspired you to write this song.
So Intertwined is kind of about past lives, and that feeling that you get when you meet somebody and it just feels like you've known them for a lot longer. As all of us have like explored a lot of kind of existential questions over the past few years. And so that's really reflected in this body of work. And it was inspired by a lot of different interactions I had with people over the past few years. But one in particular that has stuck with me is a good friend of mine named Yumi, who she's a woman that I met in New York just on the street. We both have dogs, and our dogs were puppies at the time and started playing with each other. And like immediately she like looked up at me, which is like rare for New Yorkers to actually like look up from their dog on the sidewalk and like make eye contact and talk. So we started talking, and she was like, let's get together with our dogs. And I said, sure. And we became such close friends. And she's in her mid 50s. She's from Tokyo. We have like totally different backgrounds, like kind of like not a lot of similarities on the surface, but just like had this very, very deep bond and connection. And it's such a magical relationship for me. And like, I love thinking about just, I don't know, like why we are connected to the people that we're connected with. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. Sometimes it's just like a chance encounter on the street. Your dogs start playing and it leads to a friendship. So the song explores like all different kinds of themes with souls intertwining and coming in and out of your life.
That's such an incredible story. And I mean, those themes are so powerful and make for such a beautiful song. And I was curious about what the recording process was like for Intertwined. If you could like walk us through that journey.
Yeah. So I wrote the song and then worked on the arrangement and production with my boyfriend, who actually produced and arranged this whole record with me. It's the first time we've worked together, like musically, professionally speaking, in this capacity. So it's been really special. And then I normally will go out to LA to record with this group of musicians that I always work with, but pandemic, got in the way of plans. So we ended up doing remote recording sessions over using this tool called Audio Movers, which basically allows you to like tune in live to sessions. So like if there's a drummer in LA, I can hear him recording and like give him notes while he's working. So it was pretty incredible to be able to do it that way. I mean, it doesn't replace being in the studio altogether, of course, but we still made it work. And then Ron and I, my boyfriend and I, recorded the vocals up in the Woodstock area at a place called Dreamland Studios, which was really, really special. So it was kind of like all cobbled together, different moments, different tools to record it just to make it work in such an extraordinary time.
And then Intertwined is just the first single from your upcoming EP. Can you tease what fans can expect when the full EP drops?
Yeah, I mean, I think Intertwined kind of actually does kind of like tease the themes of the full EP, which is called Human Error. Whereas, like I mentioned, it really explores a lot of these kind of more existential questions and, just thinking about this time, like the mistakes that have been made, but also like the sense that we have to forgive ourselves, like human error, kind of like the two sides of that statement. So like the songs really explore a lot of that. And it's somewhat new sounds for me. I think like it's still very Rhodes Rollinsy, but working with Ron on this, he's brought kind of a new level to the music, kind of some new layers. He's a really, really talented jazz musician at heart. So he kind of brought a new sense of musicality to the arrangements, which I'm really excited to share.
And then shifting gears a little bit, I wanted to talk to you about CLR. So, in addition to being a musician, you're also the creator and visionary behind the CLR Shop Woven Textiles brand. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about what inspired you to launch a textiles shop.
Yeah. It seems super random, and that's kind of because it is. I, during the pandemic, found myself not on tour, as all musicians were, and like kind of twiddling my thumbs looking for a project. And I do, in addition to music, I have been in design for a long time and illustrating just kind of for fun in my own spare time. So I was doing a lot of that and thought I would just take a crack at trying to sell my work online. Like at first I thought maybe I'll just start sharing it. And then I thought, well, maybe I should try to make like a little gig out of this. And I wanted to share my designs on woven textiles because I felt like it was a good kind of way to like merge functionality with art. Like it wasn't just asking someone to buy a print. It was like offering them something that like they could actually use in their house or at the park or whatever. So I decided to just take a crack at it and was very surprised that it took off very quickly. And I think, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think maybe the timing of it, people were home and wanted like to add something bright and fun to their space. It just kind of was a good time to start the shop. So it's been really, really fun. And it's been kind of a breath of fresh air to have this project in addition to music, just because like I am not selling, like such like intimate, like I'm selling my songs with music. I'm selling myself in a way. And it's nice to be able to sell something else, just like focus on an object, a blanket, and like tell a story in a different way, which has been a really fun creative outlet. And I think really healthy to kind of balance the two.
I'm curious what your favorite part of sort of seeing CLR come to life and take off has been, if you had to pinpoint just one thing.
Yeah, it has most definitely been seeing the pieces in people's homes or wherever they're, putting the blankets. And I've compared it in the past to kind of like hearing somebody sing your song back to you. It's like this piece of art, this piece of creativity that was just yours for a moment that has now become somebody else's, especially with like interior design stuff. It's like someone's using this idea that I had to like express themselves in their home, which I think is really, really cool. And I think, that's been the beauty of like starting a business over Instagram and social media, because you can actually get like a more personal look at your customers and they can get a personal look at me. And so it's really bridged that gap in a way and made it a lot more like human to human, which has been really fun. Definitely my favorite part.
Yeah, that sounds incredible because you're not just sending something off into the void. Like
Right.
you're seeing it and you're seeing it. That's just a really unique and really cool sort of exchange. I
Yeah.
just have a couple more questions for you. So you touched on this a little bit, but I'm curious how you find that all of your different pursuits flex a different creative muscle for you, from singing to creating and designing the woven textile blankets.
It's a lot. I think it's definitely one of my biggest challenges. Like, as I said, it's created a really nice balance for me in terms of like flexing different creative muscles and like the ego being spread out a little bit further across creative pursuits. But at the same time, because it does flex different muscles, I find that like I really have to make a conscious effort to like change hats throughout the day. And I'm the kind of person like time management is not my strong suit. I can just go down the creative tunnel and just get stuck with whatever I'm doing. Like I'll just become obsessed with whatever I'm working on at that time. So to change hats isn't always easy for me, and it like takes a lot of discipline to do. So yeah, it's a journey, but it's a fun one.
I'm sure, and you make it look easy. I'm sure it's not, but you make it look easy.
I'm glad it looks that way.
And then just one final question for you today. So it seems that whatever you set your mind on, you go out and achieve it. And so that said, I'm curious what you hope to accomplish next and what fans can keep an eye out for.
Thank you for saying that. I am really hoping to continue to kind of bridge the gap actually between the color shop and Rollins projects, and like, quote unquote, weave the two together more. Just because I think that there's a lot of opportunity for creativity in that space. Like I'd love to be able to do like a pop-up shop where we're selling the blankets, but we're also playing music and people are hanging out and stuff, and like create more kind of like physical experiences with the two projects. I think everyone's kind of craving that because we haven't been able to do it, and something I'm really hoping to make happen soon. So fingers crossed we can pull that off.
Yes, definitely. Fingers crossed. And I will keep my eyes out because I want to go to that. That sounds incredible. It has been
Yes.
such an honor speaking with you today. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. It means a lot.